Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host Caleb. There's a new Jund commander, so you know I've got to talk about it. Notably, this is going to be a first impressions video, so we're not going to talk about the full deck list here. We're just going to talk about the overall strategies that are going to absolutely break this commander, and then if this video gets a lot of likes and a decent amount of views, I'm going to build the full commander whenever the full set releases. My way of kind of testing the waters while giving you guys some solid strategies if you want to go ahead and take a crack at this commander before the set comes out. So let's get right into it. After you click on that whatnot link and claim your free $15, additionally, you guys can get 10% off all of your Tolarian library proxies whenever you use code DT4D. And as always, liking, commenting, and subscribing is super appreciated. I know it's annoying, but to show my appreciation, I will be replying to all the comments in the comment section down below. Hearthhull, the World Seed. This is a 4 CMC commander in Jund colors with some broken abilities. It's a legendary artifact spacecraft with station. It can be your commander, and then once it hits +2, it gets the ability to pay 1, sacrifice a land, and draw 2 cards. Then you may play an additional land this turn. And once you put 8 charge counters on it, it gains flying, vigilance, haste, and whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life. Notably, station, all we have to do is tap an 8 power creature, and this guy is online. Let's talk about his first ability. The first thing I noticed is whenever we pair his first ability with a card that allows us to play land cards from the graveyard, it kind of just makes it to where we never run out of lands to sacrifice. We sacrifice a land, it goes into our graveyard, another creature allows us to play lands from our graveyard, we play that same land from the graveyard, since it does give us the ability to play an additional land. This means landfall effects are going to be absolutely insane with this commander, and it's not going to be hard to go infinite with enough pieces, and we're going to talk about that later on in the video. The next thing I want to talk about is its +8 ability. Do not scoff at this. This can very easily end out the game. There's a lot of scenarios where, let's say we get 8 lands on the battlefield, we sacrifice all 8 of those lands, and then sacrifice something like an Aftermath Analysis that allows us to bring all land cards from our graveyard back onto the battlefield. That's going to do a total of 16 damage to the table. Well, life loss, but damage, you understand. So if we get 10 lands on the battlefield, if we can sack our entire board state and then reanimate all of those lands and then sack our board state again, we can kill the entire table, which is, again, not hard to do. It might sound crazy, but whenever you add mill, Aftermath Analysis effects, and then effects that allow you to play Aftermath Analysis from the graveyard or create token copies of Aftermath Analysis, it just becomes a deck that becomes inevitable. You will get there eventually, and your opponents will have to try to stop you, and if you don't, or if they don't, you're just going to kill the entire table. And that's why I think this commander is going to be extremely powerful. But now that we've gone through all of that, let's talk about some of the cards that we want to put in this deck and some of the combos that this guy enables, because again, there's a lot and they're very powerful. The first thing I realized is Ashaya is going to be amazing here. This is a 5 CMC legendary creature elemental that says Ashaya, Soul of the Wild's power and toughness is each equal to the number of lands you control. So it's very easily able to vehicles, right? Station our spaceship. And the non-token creatures you control are forest in addition to their other types. So now our commander's a forest, but notably also so is Quirion Ranger. Quirion Ranger says, return a forest you control to its owner's hand, untap target creature, activate only once each turn. So what you do is you return Quirion Ranger to your hand since it's a forest now, and now you're able to untap your commander, and then you can recast Quirion Ranger, which is not only going to set off all of your landfall effects again, additionally, it's going to allow us to untap our commander. We can kind of sacrifice as much lands as we want, as long as we have a few other pieces. We do still need to be able to play those land cards from our graveyard, because again, you will run out of lands if you don't have that ability. And then we also kind of want Lotus Cobra effects, that way we're able to keep generating the mana to keep casting Quirion Ranger along with the mana to keep tapping our commander. We need 1 mana to tap our commander, and we need 1 mana to recast Quirion Ranger. This means with 1 Lotus Cobra effects, we net 1 mana whenever Quirion Ranger enters the battlefield due to Ashaya, and then whenever we play the land card from our graveyard, we net the other land. So this is a 4-card combo that includes our commander, but what's going to make this powerful is the redundancy. There's a lot of Lotus Cobra effects, Ashaya is going to be solid, and then Quirion Ranger is just going to be in our deck for solid value as well. So all of these cards synergize with the deck without ever getting the combo off, and that's what makes combos like this powerful. Yes, it's a little bit Rube Goldberg-esque, but the fact that all of these are super strong in the deck alone means that you don't really get punished for playing them, because again, they're all synergistic, and then if you just so happen to get these 4 pieces on the board, you win the game. Another kind of combo like that is the Aftermath Analysis combos, that combo with Springheart Nantuko. Now, Springheart Nantuko is a 2 CMC enchantment creature. It has Bestow, and then whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 and a green if Springheart Nantuko is attached to a creature you control. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. If it didn't create a token this way, you get a 1/1 green insect creature token. So basically, you're going to just start creating token copies of Aftermath Analysis. And then all of those lands enter the battlefield. We have Lotus Cobra effects, and those Lotus Cobra effects allow us to gain 8 mana when all of those lands enter. So we don't really care that they enter tapped because we're netting mana off of these Lotus Cobra effects, and that's going to give us enough mana to sacrifice our token copy of Aftermath Analysis. Honestly, all you need is 6 mana, right? You need 2 to activate the Springheart Nantuko ability, and then you need 4 for the Aftermath Analysis ability, and you do also need a sack outlet for your land, something like a Zoran Orb or even Squandered Resources that can net you even more mana. Squandered Resources says sacrifice a land, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type that that land could produce. So now you can gain, or this is another combo piece where we don't need the Lotus Cobra anymore. We sacrifice our lands, we get 8 mana that way, or 6 mana that way, and we're able to sack our lands indefinitely and kill the entire table because of our commander. So again, these are all just very synergistic pieces as well. You want to play your Lotus Cobra effects in this deck. Springheart Nantuko is absolutely insane. Even putting a Springheart Nantuko on a Lotus Cobra has done insane things for me because you get 2 Lotus Cobras, and at that point the ability pays for itself, and every landfall trigger after that you're netting increasingly more and more mana, which can absolutely be insane. And again, Aftermath Analysis is insane. We are on the Cocaine Bear as well. Lumra, legendary creature, elemental bear, has vigilance, reach, Lumra, bellow of the woods. Power and toughness is each equal to the number of lands you control. Again, really good for getting our commander online. And then it says when Lumra enters, mill 4 cards, then return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Again, equip this with an Aftermath a Springheart Nantuko, and then whenever a land enters the battlefield, you're able to pay the 2. You get a legendary token copy. You sack all your lands in response to the Lumra ETB, and you return all the lands, and then that again repeats again and again. Infinite landfall triggers and allows you to kill the entire table. At its core, I think this deck could be very powerful if you went with the Lumra Cocaine Bear combo lines. Also, just saying Cocaine Bear combo lines makes me happy. So that's another good reason to include them. And I think that's just a solid reason why this commander is going to be so powerful. I've also got some jank for you, so calm down for everybody like, oh, he just talked about combos the whole time. He does some pretty cool things with the other commander of the deck, Serel, not sure, but this is a 5 CMC legendary creature insect druid. This is the one I'm more excited about, honestly, because he's more power matters and he gives you more jank ability or whatever. He has flying and says you may play lands from your graveyard. Again, that's what this commander really wants. So including both of these in the deck is never wrong. And it makes me excited for the Precon because I think it could be very strong. It also says whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent under your control, put a number of 1/1 counters equal to Serel's power on up to 1 other target creature. So now we're sacrificing a land off of our other commander, and then he's allowing us to put counters on something else while additionally allowing us to play the land cards from the graveyard. The first card I saw was Voltaic Construct. This is a 4 CMC artifact creature golem that says pay 2 untap target artifact creature. Our commander's an artifact creature, right? So this guy with 3 mana, we're able to untap our commander, and we just need to net 2 mana kind of, right? Because let's think about this for a second. Our commander allows us to sacrifice a land by paying 1. The other commander allows us to play land cards from our graveyard. This means whenever we play a land card from our graveyard, it kind of pays for our first commander's ability because we're able to tap it instantly since it doesn't enter tapped. This means for the Voltaic Construct to go infinite, we just need to be able to generate 2 mana off of a land entering. So 2 Lotus Cobra effects, and boom, we're able to go infinite and draw our entire deck and get infinite landfall triggers. Absolutely insane. This one's very unique to this strategy because it's specifically untapped target artifact creature. Probably not a card you've heard of, but it's going to be insane in this deck. Again, we can also do things like Crystalline Crawler. This is one that synergizes specifically with Serel. It says it's a 4 CMC creature that says Crystalline Crawler enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Then you can remove a 1/1 counter from Crystalline Crawler to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So our Serial commander has 2 power. This means whenever we sack the land off the first commander, we get to put 2 power or 2 counters on Crystalline Crawler. Now Crystalline Crawler can get those 2 counters removed to pay for the Voltaic Construct, and now the Voltaic Construct untaps our commander, and boom, we've gone infinite again. Also, you could just, you know, do the boring thing and use Ashnod's Altar and Scute Swarm. That also works. Hey, you know, whatever you guys want to do. Like I said, this commander's really insane, and all of these cards are good in the deck, right? You'd play Sorel. It allows you to play land cards from the graveyard and just makes your creatures bigger. Why not? Voltaic Construct is still 2 mana, untap your commander. You would play that even if it's not infinite. And then, you know, you can include your Remnant Excavator effects just to make it super consistent. I think this commander has the potential to be really broken, but also really fun at the same time. So let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. I'm super excited for this one, but I just love Jund overall, so kind of biased. With that being said, guys, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors. I'll see you in the next one.